Would you believe me if I told you you could wash your car with no hose? Well, I'm gonna show you how to do it right here. In Texas, we're under water restrictions because of extended drought period. And in the wintertime, you might not be able to have access to running water, or maybe you live in an apartment complex and you don't have access to running water or a hose or pressure washer there. So a lot of people think your only option at that point is to go through an automatic car wash. Well, that's the worst thing you can do for your car. I'm gonna show you an alternative using American Detailer Garage Wipeout, which is a waterless, rinseless wash. And I'm gonna tell you the difference between waterless and rinseless wash as well, because the terms are interchangeable to some, but they're actually different. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna demonstrate is waterless wash. I tend to use this if the vehicle's not that dirty. In this C8 Corvette we have, it's not that dirty. So waterless wash is gonna be, we're basically spraying on the panel, almost think of like a quick detail spray sort of thing. And we're gonna spray it on the panel and then we're gonna wipe it off, and that's gonna be the end of it. Now we're gonna use, for waterless wash, we're gonna use 1 ounce for 31 ounces of water. So about an ounce in a 32 ounce spray bottle. This is a little bit bigger of a spray bottle. I think it's 55 ounces or more. And you know, so I put a couple ounces in this. I like to go over the recommended just because I like that extra lubrication. It's worth the extra, using the extra product. So we're gonna spray it on a panel. Now, we're in a climate controlled shop, so I don't have to worry about this drying on me. But if you're in an area, for example, that maybe it's sunny out or whatever and it's drying and you don't have spot-free water, because we do have spot-free water here, you want to use less of a panel. You may have to do half of a panel. You may even have to do 1/4 of a panel at a time. You don't want that water drying on you. So what I have here is a mother fluffer, and the mother fluffer is a super plush drying towel. We also have the Auto Fiber Amphibian, and the Amphibian has a mother fluffer on one side and a Dreadnought on the other side, and you know we like to use Dreadnoughts here. So, but for this, you know, we got the water, we sprayed it on, this waterless wash, and I'm gonna go ahead, and you see like I'm putting very little pressure. I like to do that. First, I like to kind of just drag it across first. The less pressure we use, the less likely we're going to put some scratches into the paint. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna buff off the residue, the remaining residue from the waterless wash. All right, that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple, it's pretty safe, and we like to use American Detailer Garage Wipeout for that. And then next, I'm gonna show you how we do rinseless wash. All right, the next method I'm gonna show you how to use is a bucket method called rinseless wash. And it gets that name because you're not rinsing it off with the final rinse on a hose or pressure washer or whatever. So you may wanna use this method if your car's a little bit dirtier, or perhaps you don't have access to running water, such as an apartment complex or water restrictions or winter, and you could fill it up in a bathtub or a faucet or a wash basin or whatever. And this is filled up to 3 gallons in our Auto Fiber bucket. And you wanna add 1 ounce to 2 gallons of water. So technically we could do like 1.5 ounces. I always go above and beyond, like I mentioned earlier, just because I like that little bit of extra product in there. So I put a few ounces in this 3-gallon bucket. So what we have next, which we're gonna use for this, is we're gonna use our Auto Fiber double flip towels, which are specifically designed just for this process. And I got a new package here, but it comes in a bunch of different colors. So this is our new package of blue, comes in a 3-pack. And then I've got some other ones, some other colors here from previous. So what we wanna do with this is we always want multiple towels, which I've told you in the past on other videos. And the reason we want that is A, in case we drop it, B, for efficiency, just in case, you know, it gets super dirty. Now the double flip towels are great for this because they flip over, and so you always have, you know, multiple sections of towels to use that are clean, and it's, you know, not gonna get super dirty on this side and bleed, the dirt isn't gonna bleed through, so you just flip it over when it's, when it gets too dirty. So we're gonna put these in the bucket with the solution, and we're gonna soak them in there. All right, so we have our bucket here, and we've got our double flip towels, and we got multiples, like I mentioned, and we're gonna pull it out. We're gonna wring it a little bit so it's not like super crazy, and we're gonna always go top to bottom so that if we are washing this panel, we don't contaminate this panel next. So what we'll do is, we'll put it in basically one direction as best as possible, light pressure, and the one direction makes it so you're not, wiping this way and then taking this dirty water and then bringing it back over. Do it the best you can. We got this, and then we want to work downwards. So let's assume that this is dirty, even though it's really probably not. Because we got the double flip, we could just flip it around to the other side. And then if we assume that that side's dirty, we can now conveniently flip it inside out. And now I have a couple more options of sides. And then, so this side is dirty. There's a little bit of tire shine sling down there that I noticed. Now, if this is very similar to the Waterless in the sense that if you're not in a climate controlled area and you don't have spot-free water, you don't want this to dry. But because we're in a climate controlled area, I can do this whole car. It's gonna be wet, it's not gonna dry off. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna show you. All right, so you can use a amphibian towel, which a lot of people love because it has one side will be plush and the other side has this Dreadnought material. I know a lot of you also have just Dreadnoughts maybe because you're new to rinseless, waterless washing. So if you have a Dreadnought, this is a Dreadnought Max. You can drag it across the surface, which is what I like to do on all my washes. So for this, I can flip it over. If you're using the amphibian, you can buff it off with the plush side. Really, I'm a firm believer that most towels are not gonna scratch if you don't use too much pressure. So you can completely dry this car with the Dreadnought. As long as you don't dry it too hard, you don't press too hard, you're gonna be just fine without scratching. But we do have the amphibian towel, which is made specifically for waterless and rinseless wash because of that plush side. So you can use either one, but I'm just demonstrating in this case with the Dreadnought. So I've given you a lot of solutions here to cleaning your car with no hose. And we get a lot of clients here in Texas during water restrictions that are concerned about using our services because we tell them they can't use an automatic car wash afterwards, but they're not allowed to wash at home with a pressure washer. So this is a great solution for people who are under water restrictions or maybe restricted by where they live and get your car nice and clean without a hose.